Welcome back, and in this segment we will be talking about an activity that took place at the Maulana Azad Center for Indian Culture, where a conference entitled Developing Skills, Chances and Challenges took place. And joining us right now in the studio is Third Secretary at the Embassy of India in Cairo, Mr. Umar Farooque. Good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. First of all, just give us an idea about the conference, especially that it has a very important actually title.
Actually, first of all, I will start with thanking for inviting me to your studio. The program, we call it Roundtable. So, Maulana Azad Cultural Center of Embassy of India, it's the cultural center of our country where we generally conduct cultural activities. So, Roundtable is one of them. In July 2016, we started this program. Most of the activities we conduct in this program are cultural as well as those things which are common to India and Egypt. So when we started this skill development program, the main issue behind starting this program was that India and Egypt both are countries with more than 50% of their population having the age below 25 years of age. So this is something very interesting and both very important for both the countries. So that's why we started. So the roundtable program is basically that we invite some speaker from Egypt and we invite some speaker from India also. They discuss their respective countries, their issues, and they also try to find out the scope for mutual and bilateral cooperation. So in this roundtable program, we invited 5 different speakers. One of them was from India. She is my colleague. I was one of the moderator as a organizer of the event, and other 4 were from Egypt. 2 were from civil society, one from Egypt, one from academia, and one from industries. So this was the program. In this program, we basically discussed about the ongoing program on skill development. And we also discuss why it is important, what are the areas which are lacking. For example, in India, before we started this program of skill development in 2015, there were different programs conducted by different ministries, different institutions. And in this program, there was nothing like one umbrella program which can connect all the programs. So different programs are going on, so the money and the efforts are not properly utilized. So properly utilized, we started Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So same way, we tried to cooperate and coordinate all the institutions which are working in the field of skill development, because India as well as Egypt and all other developing countries, they are going through rapid developmental changes, and because of different scenario of development, the demand for skill is increasing, and then the supply for skill development workforce which is skilled in the latest technology, the demand for such workforce is also increasing, not only in developing countries, also in developed countries. But the problem is that developed countries, they do not have additional workforce for supply. So the responsibility as well as the opportunity both are in developing countries, including India and Egypt, that they have young population, they have very aspiring youth, they are going through the process of development. So they can cater the need of this developed country, as well as they can utilize this workforce in the process of their own development.
What other topics were discussed on that round table?
The main topic was skill development. So in this skill development, we discussed different subtopics. The subtopic was that skill development is a shared responsibility. So it's not that only government is responsible, rather civil society, private sector, industries, corporation, and even an individual is responsible for skill development of a country. So everyone has to play a role. So civil societies, they discussed about the role of civil societies, what they can coordinate, what they can contribute from their side in this process of skill development. And the industrial side, representing people, they discuss what are the role industries and corporate can play in this process. And then academia discuss about what are the flaws, what are the challenges, and what are the good things going on in formal education system. So these were different aspects of a different subtopic in the skill development which were discussed, and then also we discussed that what are the scope and what are the areas where both the countries, India and Egypt, both can learn from each other and both can cooperate also.
Right. Talking about the development of the skills, as you mentioned, it is the role of many different sectors.
Yes.
So what are the recommendations and how are we going to take benefit of this?
Listen, first of all, like countries like India and Egypt, if we compare those countries, then we see that in our country we have formal education system where we go for school, universities. Then there is employability, the skill which demands the industry. So for that we have different institutions. But the problem is that once we get formal education, it doesn't make us skilled. It makes us educated. So the gap that is between the skill and the education, that is filled by different agencies. For example, in India, we have a program called as Skill India Mission. In this mission, our government has the target of skilling 300 million people by 2022. So this target is that by bringing all the different institutions, all the different agencies which are working in the field of skilling, like providing different kind of skill, providing different kind of training to educated as well as dropouts from school, all both people will be provided different type of training so that they can get the opportunity, they can get the job which they want.
Yes.
So this is the main target.
Now, what about the technical and vocational programs between Egypt and India or at the Maulana Azad Center?
Well, before answering that question, I will talk about that since India and Egypt both have a very long history of bilateral cooperation. So just last year, a vocational training center in Shobra Al-Khima. This institute, as part of memorandum of understanding between India and Egypt, it went through the textile department of this institution. It got upgraded with latest tools and technologies. The agency involved in this process from Indian side was National Small Industries Corporation of India. So this, so in this process, we saw that trainers from the institute were also upskilled, and also other are going on between the two cooperation of economic, technical, like Indian technical and economic cooperation, which generally we call as ITE. So this cooperation is also between the two countries, in which different expertise are shared between the two countries. And even this year we have 200 slots for Egyptian youth. They can apply for this particular skill development program.
I'm talking about the different markets that we can talk about and different skills. Just as you mentioned, it is not about universities or education itself, but it is according to the needs of the markets. Yes. So how can we work on this? For example, in India, you achieved great success actually in talking about providing different vocational training and all of this. So how can we take benefit?
Listen, if you go through the developmental process of India, so from 90s to early 20s, in first 15-20 years, India was growing very fast as far as economic growth is concerned. But it was not creating a lot of jobs. So generally people call it a jobless growth, because we were not getting job, but we were getting economic growth. So to create the employment, we need to make these people. It's not that we do not have workforce. We have the workforce, but the problem in the workforce is that they do not meet the requirements of the industrial side. So to meet this demand, we are emphasizing on skill development. It is a deliberate attempt that whatever the demand industry has, as per that demand, we will train the people.
For example, you achieved great success in IT, for example.
Yes. IT is one of the great success for India, and now.
So tell us more about this experience.
Actually, what happened that in early 90s, India started liberalizing its economy. So in this process of liberalization, we focus main issues since we have very strong chain of technical institutions like IITs and other NITs and universities where we have very good computer science and IT departments. So we started, training people. We started different programs related with IT, and there are some areas like Bangalore, like Hyderabad. These are called Silicon Valley of India. So here we started, giving different benefits to those entrepreneurs which want to open their IT industries. So from educational side, we promoted education in the field, and in the industrial side, we promoted those people who wanted to start their business in the IT sector. And it was the beginning phase, and with all the requirements India had, we just reaped the opportunity.
Now, I understand also that Maulana Azad Cultural Center is a very active center. So would you tell us more about the various or some of the activities that have taken place recently?
It's a really glad to accept that, it's really very active. But some of the most important program which it conducts regularly, first we conduct yoga classes. So we have different classes on yoga. It's also conduct Urdu and Hindi classes. We have students from different universities. There are some working professionals also. As per their interest, they come in different times to learn the Indian languages. Besides that, we have different, we have different cultural program. India by Nile is one program. Then different cultural program we conduct at different location in different time. And beside that, this round table is one of the monthly activity. Each month, on the last Thursday, we conduct one such program, which has importance for both the country. And we generally try to find out the scope for mutual cooperation between India and Egypt so that we can move ahead and we can increase the interaction between the two countries. Besides that, we also have movie screening. We Indian Bollywood movies and other Indian movies, we promote those movies. We also different dances, Indian dance and Indian other folk dances, etc. We promote those things.
Do you provide also some programs or events for children as well?
For children, each week some school children from different schools they come, and they generally have a kind of interaction program where we tell them about India, India's culture. These are just like visiting the Meki, our Maulana Azad Center, where they interact with our instructor there about India.
I understand also that the center is also sponsoring arts, and that a lot of whether photography exhibition or even cartoons, cultural events takes place there, in addition to sending also some of the artists to India to whether paint or take photographs there. So would you tell us about the latest news about it?
Actually, you know, like in India we have different dance school, drama school. So since we have this educational program where the graduates, postgraduate and other, people who are studying in different fields, they go to India. So as part of that program, there are many people who want to go in movie directing, documentary making. Some want to go in drama, some want to go in painting, different kind of cultural activities they want to go and study in India. So we provide a scholarship, and we also provide, there will be a preliminary interview in our Maulana Azad Center, then they will select the institute where they want to study, they apply there, and these are the process through which they go. So right now, the process is going on, and recently the preliminary interview was conducted in Maulana Azad. So many people are applying and the process is still going on.
So talking about also the human resources in general, how do you see so far the enrichment of human resources and all the efforts exerted in Egypt, for example?
Well, to talk about Egypt, I think I'm too new to talk about. But when I discussed with our speakers during the program, I came to know that both India and Egypt both have a lot of similarity. And one more important reason that I chose this topic for discussion, that in India and Egypt both they have, if we compare the countries, both in their respective region, both have a very huge population. Like India is the most populous country in the subcontinent, but in the Gulf, Middle East, most populous country is Egypt, and both have very young population also, and both are going through rapid developmental changes. So for both there is a demand from industrial side for the workforce, but there is a mismatch also that we are not able to supply, both in India and Egypt, we are not able to supply the required demand of workforce. So there comes the need of skill development. So I think in this respect both countries have the similarity, and that's why there is a scope that from both countries each other can learn their mistakes and they can also share their expertise.
You've mentioned that you're recent here, so how long have you been in Egypt?
I am here since last six months.
6 months.
Yes.
How do you find Egypt so far?
For me, to a great extent, it's just like a second home for me. It doesn't make me feel like I'm still in a foreign country. It's like I'm still in India. Very much similar to India in many respects.
Yes. Yes. What about the cultural activities in Egypt? Have you been involved in any of them or visited any of the exhibitions, art exhibitions, looked at any of it?
So far, I do not.
You haven't yet done.
I haven't attended so many events. I generally visit places, but so
you've been
far
around.
Yeah.
Talking about Indians in general, and what are they interested in? Talking about Egypt, for example, about tourism, about culture. Tell us more about Indians in this respect.
What they feel
Yeah,
about
what do they
Egypt.
like, for example, and are they interested in culture, history, of course, or